Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a quick video. I'm about to go on a walk alone by myself for like an hour because I'm trying to walk as much as possible. I'll probably walked about, God, I don't even know how much this weekend, trying to hit on girls. Just being honest with my friends. Well, I'm not going to really reveal who they are, but 10 hours or something. I'm not doing that right now. Of course, you know, if I see someone that seems interesting, maybe I'll talk to them. But anyways, I was going to do this quick video about the ridiculousness of Ozzy's reasoning for leaving the United States. And I don't know what crime is like the last 2 years compared to the previous years, but I do know that in the last 30, 40 years, or not, maybe not 30, like the last 25 to 30 years, I should say. The 40 years, it was bad. Violent crime has gone down exponentially over the past 40 years. At least up till 2 years ago. I don't know where the stats are, so forgive me if I don't know. So, you know, you had the huge crack epidemic, you had all this stuff, and you had all these, you know, this terrible, you know, police brutality probably back then made, you know, things like right now look pretty tame in comparison that are happening sometimes. I think there were probably, separate from the militarization of police since 9/11. So maybe there's some things that have gotten worse. People talk about racism in policing, but we have to talk about the whole shebang, you know, the nuanced look at this beyond even race. We can look at the militarization of the police and stuff. So you had all sorts of stuff happen in the 80s and 90s and, you know, in 2000s as far as crime. You know, they used to have the death report on the LA news. You know, Ice-T infamously named body count because of the body count on the news. And this is where the Osbournes live. But because of these high profile mass shootings that are among white people, dare I say there's a little bit of subconscious, you know, I'm not going to say racism, but racial bias or ignorance of actual reality. If I don't think that the mass shootings are at the level of daily shootings in LA in 1989 when fucking Ozzy was living in LA since like 82 or whatever, whenever he moved here. I think, to me, this seems a little like the current thing, kind of NPC kind of bullshit that Sharon and Ozzy and her wife Ozzy Osbourne, dare I say, emasculated towards Sharon, have. This is just my opinion. I don't know. I don't have the stats. I don't have the numbers. So we're just talking pure speculation, talking pure, you know, intuition as far as what's happening. This is my thought. I think, oh yeah, there were the riots and stuff too. But, you know, right-wingers will attack me for saying, what about all the leftoids making the crime worse with the riots and the getting criminals off for nothing? Yeah, theft and shootings are two different things. Okay, I have a nuanced opinion about this. Back in the fucking 80s and 90s, I remember there's places that were just, you know, that you watch these shows like The Wire and all this shit. That is how things were in many cities. They have improved to some extent with violent crime. It's just the truth. Look at the stats. Part of it might be lead. Let's look at, you know, if you read about the lead thing, like banning lead in certain building materials, decrease crime. There's a correlation, possible causation with that. And you just, I mean, guns, you know, maybe the assault weapons ban, 95, might have helped with that. I'm not going to say that because I teeter on the edge of the gun debate because I'm very fearful of government nowadays. And And I don't think it's guns that are killing. It's not guns. It's the the mental health. Of course, having access to guns makes the body count higher. This is undeniable. So you can't stab. You can stab 15 people, but stabbing people to death like in a short period of time, very difficult compared to like shooting people to death. So there's no doubt about that. But this whole thing is like, I saw it on the news. There's so many mass shootings because I watch the news. I don't read statistics. We should go back to Britain then. They're taxing us out of our money here, Ozzy. About the mass shootings we'll talk about. It just, oh my God, it makes me so mad. I don't know if this is the reason why. It might be there's some reality show they're on too now in Britain, BBC or some shit. So I don't know if it's all the reasons, but just the given excuse of moving back to Britain because of mass shootings. Like, I mean, let's say, okay, I don't know how many mass shootings there are per year, but it's like a plane crash. Like in the 80s and 90s, of course, they have like, are planes safe? I mean, I'm sure they had this. I'm not remembering everything, but are planes safe? There's so many plane crashes per year. You heard about these huge plane crashes. Maybe 4 out of, 10,000 flights or 20,000 or a million flights or whatever crashed. Let's say 100,000. Let's say 4 out of 100,000. Would a person stop flying because of that? And there were terrible crashes. They were horrible. And maybe there were some safety issues with some of the planes that they should look at, and they did, or whatever. But are people going to stop flying because of a 4 out of a million flights crash? It's like you look at mass shootings, and yeah, there are a lot of more mass shootings going on because of what I talked about in my last video, by the way. A lot of it is related to that. About the online, the isolation from being online only, with a lot of things. I think that, and then you have these echo chambers, and then you feed into that. So it's not because of one movement or the other. Of course, I think certain movements do tend to foster a little bit more violence overall, maybe, but those movements in itself aren't causing the violence. But and some of them are probably the more problematic ones that like I said about incel or red pill, just go out and try to meet women. What's wrong with that? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's what I'm doing now. But like this whole thing about mass shootings, it's like, are there really that many more mass shootings than there were like 10 years ago? I mean, or are there just more high profile ones or higher body counts or whatever? Has the percentage gone up? Maybe it has a little bit. Maybe it has a lot. I don't know. But for the hypocrisy of someone that, why didn't he leave in 1989 when, during Reagan Bush, the huge crack epidemic, and, he wouldn't have said, in solidarity with the African American community, I want to leave the United States. Well, why? That's like escaping. That's kind of racist. So in solidarity, I will live in Compton or something like that, or something like that. Like, it seems very selfish, like in this really isolated, scarily sheltered way. Like, the mass shootings, I saw it on the news, CNN. You don't look at crime statistics. You don't read studies. You don't do your own research, because New York Times told me, oh, New York Times said not to do my own research. Sharon, we got to get the songwriters for the new album, put the auto-tune machine on. That's about all.